So you're an Aries, or maybe someone you know is, and now you want to learn more about the zodiac sign. Hi everyone, my name is Elena. I'm a Vedic astrologer. This video will kick off a series where I will talk about each zodiac sign and give examples of famous and infamous people in history that have notable placements in the zodiac sign. Of course, we will start with the first zodiac sign, Aries. To start us off, let's first look at some of the characteristics, descriptions, and qualities of Aries. You may notice that some of these characteristics apply to you or someone you know if you have 3 or more planets in Aries, or 1 or more of your big 3 placements is in Aries. If you're not sure what a big 3 is, be sure to check out my video where I talk more about them and explain what each of them is. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and this fact alone gives us an important clue into its qualities. If people with placement in Aries are the first to do something, that also means that they're the quickest to take action and show initiative. Because of this, they usually are the first to achieve results. For them, the path between impulse and action is one of the shortest one of the entire zodiac, which leads us to the fact that they are usually impulsive. Aries is a cardinal sign, which means that Aries natives often find themselves in trailblazing positions. Again, they're the first to do something. They typically have a lot going on. It's important for them to stay active, busy, proactive, and productive. They have a high volume of energy, and they need an outlet for their endless supply of energy so they can stay sane and happy. Since Aries is the first zodiac sign, it is therefore the beginning of the zodiac. With beginning comes creation, and the nature of the sign is such that it is very important for Aries natives to be creative, to have a creative outlet, to create a legacy and leave something behind. Aries is a fire sign, which means people with placements in Aries adopt fiery characteristics. Like the fire, they can keep you warm, but when there's too much of it or you come too close, it can burn everything down and hurt you. Likewise, Aries people have this endless supply and capacity for energy, which typically takes a form of passion, which fuels their emotions, desires, actions, ideas. But in large quantities, it can take on a form of anger, frustration, short temper, and even violence. For this reason, it is very important for Aries natives to have a healthy outlet for energy, like sports or business or any sort of activity that motivates them and keeps them going. Fire is also associated with ideas of creation, therefore amplifying the creative nature of this sign. Aries is ruled by Mars, or Mangala as it is known in Hindu and Vedic mythology. Mars is known as the god of war, and this also adds to the anger and violence aspect of this sign. Because war means fight, Aries natives have a particularly competitive edge to their nature, and they typically do well in situations of conflict or combat. Of course, this doesn't make all Aries natives violent by default or really difficult to deal with. One of the ways that this can get expressed is they tend to be drawn to career choices where they need to put their competitive and combative skills to use. For example, law enforcement or sports. Professional athletes, as we will see, a lot of them will have placements in Aries. Military service and other careers that have either protection or competitive aspects are usually where Aries natives do really well. It's important to know that not all Aries natives will find themselves in these careers, and sometimes it can manifest simply as a sort of preference of military or sports narratives or even law enforcement in the media and entertainment industry, like somebody like in thrillers and blockbuster movies or watching soccer, rugby, or any other sports, so to speak. Again, degrees of manifestation, but a lot of the time it will manifest rather peacefully. It will just take shape of an interest for this person. In Hindu mythology in particular, Mars is known as Mangala, and Mangala is the son of Bhumi, which is the earth goddess. So people with significant influence of Mars in their chart, which Aries natives will be, typically have a very earthy and practical predisposition, in particular when it relates to the physical body, as it is the most material and personal thing that they would know, of course. This is particularly true for Aries because Aries, being the first sign of the zodiac, is loosely related to the first house of the birth chart, which represents body and physical health. For this reason, Aries native typically pay a lot of attention to their athletic form and physical health. They stay sporty, it's important for them to have movement, and a lot of them might make good doctors or medical practitioners, again, because of this connection to the physical body aspect of living. That being said, you do need to look at other indicators in the birth chart to see if such a career or vocation choice might be in the cards for the person. This means that good health and athletic form are particularly important to Aries natives, which is also why they often find themselves in careers that one way or another support physical form and health. This can be doctors and medical practitioners, athletes, fitness trainers, even supermodels, but notably also emergency services workers. If you think about it, emergency services need speed and quick reaction, which we know Aries natives already have. In addition, when you consider the passionate nature of Aries natives, and the fact that they are so focused on physical body and its needs, you often will get people who are highly sexual with strong libidos if there are other placements in the chart to support this. Finally, Aries signs features 3 constellations, and each of them can highlight certain characteristics of this sign. People with placements in Ashwini, typically the fastest, and can have a gift for medicine or alternative medicine practice. People who are born with placements in Bharani constellations are the most passionate and sexual of the group. They also might have interest in matters of life and death. And last but not least, people who are born with placements in the Kritika constellation are the ones for whom ambition, positions of power, and leadership positions are of most importance. It is important for them to have influence over a group of people, however small or large, to feel fulfilled. Let's round this up with some keywords that we can associate with the Aries zodiac sign. First, energy, creation, anger, ambition, physical, and sexual. If you have these placements, but still you don't quite feel like these characteristics apply to you, that's completely fine. It's quite possible that there are other placements in your birth chart in zodiac signs or planetary influences that set the tone for your birth chart. And in any which case, all of us have very complex and interesting personalities that simply cannot be confined to just a description of one zodiac sign. Now, let's look at a few celebrity examples of Aries birth charts. Number 1, Shaquille O'Neal. With sports and physical body being such a strong theme for Aries, it really shouldn't come as any surprise that the first celebrity example here is a professional athlete. Shaquille O'Neal is widely considered one of the most notable players in NBA history, one of the most widely recognized and talented basketball players of all time. He won multiple awards as NBA champion, MVP, and All-Star, changing several basketball clubs and bringing victory throughout his entire career. He retired as an athlete in 2011, as he is to this day an analyst on TNT's Emmy-winning show Inside the NBA. Let's look at his chart for a minute. We see here an Aries rising chart with Mars, Aries ruler and Lagna Lord, in the first house itself, conjunct Venus, making Aries energy very, very dominant in this chart. If this chart style is unfamiliar to you or you're not sure what Lagna Lord is, kind reminder that I am a Vedic astrologer, so we're reading Vedic astrology charts in this channel. And you can also check out my Astrology for Beginners series, where I explain how to read a Vedic birth chart and what Lagna Lord is. An exceptional career is not the only way in which such a dominant Aries placement manifested in his life. One of the more interesting facts is that Shaquille O'Neal also trained in mixed martial arts. He is a big wrestling fan, and he even pursued a vocation in law enforcement. He went through the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Reserve Academy and became a reserve officer in 2005. Between then and 2016, he had several instances where he actually acted as a law enforcement officer, and in 2016, he was sworn in as a deputy sheriff in Georgia's Clayton County. Shaq also got involved with the arts as a music producer, TV host, starring in TV commercials, appearing on cameos, and being featured in video games. He also built a very large investment and business ventures portfolio. Suffice to say, this is a person who has a very proactive stance in life, trying himself in multiple different vocations, multiple different avenues, clearly with a large creative streak to pursue some of these more artistic initiatives, not to mention his notable achievements in sports and law enforcement. All of these are clearly very representative of the Aries energy in his birth chart. Number 2, Gigi Hadid. Zooming out of the sports world, our exhibit B for an Aries zodiac sign is Gigi Hadid, a world-renowned American supermodel and TV personality. She is one of the highest-paid supermodels in the world, and throughout her career, she made over 50 appearances on International Vogue, and she is consistently booked for all the top designer runway shows like Versace, Prada, Chanel, and Victoria's Secret. Let's look at her birth chart. What we see here is again an Aries rising chart, this time having placements of the Sun, Mercury, and Ketu in Aries. It is worth to note that Sun is exceptionally strong in Aries, and another notable feature of her chart is her exceptionally strong Venus placed in Pisces. Such strong influences from Sun and Venus, of course, set the stage for her to experience stardom in everything that is related to fashion, beauty, and pop culture, but her Aries rising placement is just as notable. She started her career as a model, and in modeling, as we know, physical looks and appearance are the core requirements for the job. And as mentioned, sexuality and physical body are among the core attributes of Aries. Not only that, but she is also somewhat a trailblazer in modeling industry because she was one of the first supermodels who amplified her modeling career with her social media presence. She built her brand largely leveraging social media, in this way bridging the gap between traditional modeling and influencer marketing. As an extension of her supermodel career, she entered numerous creative partnerships with different brands. She designed a clothing line with Tommy Hilfiger, she became the face of Max Mara accessory line, she even became the brand ambassador for Havaianas recently, and she created her own cashmere clothing line, Guest in Residence. Now, all of this is notable, and you can say that many celebrities might have similar achievement lists under their belts, but you have to consider that she is only 30. She achieved international stardom, became one of the top 10 models in the world, and entered into all these creative partnerships under the age of 30, which shows a phenomenal capacity for staying active and creative, especially if you consider that outside of her modeling career, she is also involved in humanitarian movements, supporting Palestine, Ukraine, BLM movement, and she was known to protest the Muslim ban in the US. Lastly, let's look at a more controversial personality that embodies a darker side of Aries. Number 3, Adolf Hitler. The man needs no introduction, but in case you missed every history class, he is the man who started World War II. He was a German politician and a dictator during the Nazi era in Germany between 1933 and 1945, and he served as a German chancellor in this time until his died following his loss in World War II in 1945. What do we see in a chart of this person? Firstly, this is a Libra rising chart, but don't let it fool you, because in the 7th house in Aries, we have lots of notable planetary placements, including Mars, the ruler of the sign Aries, his sun, and Venus, who for Libra rising rules the entire birth chart. So even though Hitler was Libra rising, he is very much a canonical Aries representative. The most obvious association with Aries here is his military career, if you can call it that. This was the man who was possessed with colonialist ideas, wanting and waging war on neighboring nations. He literally wanted to enslave Europe and establish German order on the entire continent. History knows very few examples of personalities whose thirst for bloodshed can rival that of Hitler's. It should also be noted that Hitler has a lot of notable placements in Sagittarius sign, which will explain his weird and very strong ideology about pure race and all that. But we're not talking about Sagittarius now, although we might come back to this example when we talk about Sagittarius in one of the future installments of this series. And before you get worried if you find yourself having several placements in Aries, this does not mean that you're anywhere remotely close to somebody like Adolf Hitler. There are a lot of reasons and a lot of placement and a lot of other indicators in his chart that contributed to his personality being such. There are a lot of reasons why he turned out to be the way he is, and his choices that aren't indicated in his natal chart are one of them. Before we close off, I would just like to highlight a few notable mentions for Aries Hall of Fame. Serena Williams, a world tennis champion, Aries rising with a very strong Mars influence in the chart overall. Uma Thurman, most known for her work with Quentin Tarantino in cult movies Pulp Fiction and Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. She is a Leo rising, but she has several planets in Aries, including Sun, who is not only part of the big three, but is the chart ruler in this case. Now, if you watch Kill Bill, it's clearly an action-packed movie where Uma's role was that of an assassin trained in martial arts and otherwise combat, which we know is one of the themes for Aries. Karl Marx, German philosopher and revolutionary socialist. His chart is also an excellent case study for Aquarius, with him being Aquarius rising. However, he has 3 placements in Aries, including 2 out of the big 3, Moon, and Sun, which makes him just as much an Aries. As we know, he was the pioneer and one of the founding fathers of socialism. Al Pacino, mostly known for his roles as Don Corleone in The Godfather and Tony Montana in Scarface. Al Pacino has 3 planets in his 10th house of career. As we know, his typical protagonist is this complex anti-hero, this brooding loose cannon, maybe a cop or a gangster. So again, themes of anger, violence, and crime are prominent in his roles. Archduke Friedrich of Austria, who was the supreme commander of the Austro-Hungarian army during World War II. Again, sticking with the military theme here. And last but not least, Alexis Ford, a former adult industry performer. This is a nod to the sexual aspect of the sign, of course. This concludes the look into the Aries zodiac sign and celebrities who proudly or not so much represent this sign. If you like astrology, zodiac signs, planets, predictions, karma, and spirituality, be sure to subscribe to my channel. And if you like this video, do give me a thumbs up.